Hello, this is Alba Gomez and welcome to Amplify the podcast. I am incredibly passionate about helping men and women amplify who they are and how they show up in the world. Let's have a conversation about how you can amplify your confidence and presence so you get the results you want in your business and career. Welcome to episode number 5. Be more engaged, productive, and highly effective. How many of us don't go through life feeling that we're not moving forward, that we are not excited about our lives, that we just keep going through the motions, doing whatever we are supposed to do, day in, day out, living in autopilot. What I call is just you literally wake up, get ready to go to work, take care of your kids if you have kids, and then literally go and work, come back home, have dinner, go to sleep, and repeat and repeat. When we're feeling that out of touch with how we're feeling, we lose completely all motivation to live our lives. We become so unproductive and we're definitely not efficient and effective because we have lost passion for our life. So I want you to share with you the key of these lays in you being connected to your values. And I want to talk a little bit about what values are because I think there's many different definitions and I want to explain what I'm referring to. For me, values are things that are important to you in your core essence with who you really are under all the roles and responsibilities, under all the expectations of people around you, what is actually really important to you and what drives you. So I share in a past episode a little bit about me having lived my life for others a lot. And with values, what happens is some of our values are learned. They are taught to us by our parents, so we tend to value same things that our parents value, or our family, or our culture, our society. And we get to a point in life when, if we haven't reviewed our values, we have been giving time to things that are not so important to us. And that is actually the definition of value, something that is important to you, and as a result, you give a lot of time to that specific either activity or that thing that you actually value. So in my case, I actually coming from a Latin culture where it's very religious, and where we live in a lot of lack in many ways, in the sense that we do have that belief that you have to be good, and if it's too good, if life is too good, something might go bad. And so there's all these misconceptions that I now can't believe. I live most of my life believing those things. I never allow myself to value money. I never allow myself to value travel. I never allow myself to value having fun and joy, because all those three things seem so overindulgent. And then I got to understand that in order for me in my life to have more of the things that I want, I need to make sure they are in my list of values. So it was quite the interesting experience for me to allow to say in my top 5 values that money was important to me. And the reason for that, I don't have to justify it, but the reason for that is because money gives me the freedom to actually go and visit my family, to actually go and travel and see the world, to actually go give back and donate to kids in needs in Colombia, which are things that are really, really important to me. So it is really important that we go back and check how are we living our lives, because what happens is when we start living life for others and when we are living with values that are not in alignment with the true real person you are today, you are going to be living in a flat, in an autopilot mode, in an out of connection mode. When your personal values are aligned, you are maximizing your ability to be engaged, productive, and highly effective. You start having so many more moments of joy and happiness that result in more satisfaction. And I can share that in my personal story when I did this exercise of really looking deep into what my real values were, and I realigned my life to be lived as the real values that were important to me, as the real things that were important to me. Everything changed. And it was incredible for me how family is kind of like a noble value to have there on your top 5. And even though my family has always been important to me, it wasn't in the way I wanted it to be. So I defined what having family as a top value meant to me. And that was in my case, going and see them twice a year if I could. Making sure I could go and see them 2 years, the other way around, because if I was going to wait for the time, for having the money, or for when the time was right, I was never going to do it. So I chose to see them twice a year. I chose to call them instead of waiting for them to call me. I chose to heal those relationships with them. That was important to me. And when I started doing that shift and I allowed travel to be most important to me, and growth and learning, which is extremely, incredibly important to me, my life started being filled with so much joy because I was living my days and I was feeling my days, something that was really, really feeling me. That was really, really important to us, and that was giving me energy, because that's what happened. And that's why you become so energized and engaged and productive when you align your values, because your life is so much richer, is so much more passionate, is so much more joyful. And from that place, you can create your life and design your life to be what you want it to be, as opposed to your life just being what it was, what it has been, like just going from one job to another, feeling the expectations of other people, or just going through the motions, as opposed to living your life by design. And I have seen this over and over and over again with my clients. And when we talk about this, it sounds so basic that it's actually almost hard to believe that there's so much richness that will come from revisiting your values. And we all think that, yes, we know who we are, we know what is important to us, we just don't have time because, I have responsibilities and I need to provide for my family, or I need to go to that next level in my career so I can demonstrate that I'm good enough to myself, or all those things. And we just let those external validation be the drivers of our lives, and we don't realize that when we go deeper into connecting to what really is important to us, that level of satisfaction is what is going to create so much success. It's going to become that big force that allows you to do something maybe different, in which you're going to be so much more productive, so much more effective, so much more successful, and maybe even fulfilling those needs that you have, or providing for your family, or providing for yourself, or getting that sense of fulfillment, are going to be filled in a completely different way. Because how many of us have gone through life achieving things to end up thinking, that was a lot of work to achieve, and that means anything to me. That means nothing to me. And for example, for me, I am forever grateful to be an engineer, and I'm forever grateful for my family to kind of having pushed me to go and do that. But I achieved my degree as an engineer, and I felt so empty. Because then again, that wasn't my goal. That was my family's goal. That was my society goal. And like that, I live my life and put values at the top of the list that were cool. Yeah, from outside, they were cool to achieve. But fulfillment, and if you ask me how happy I wasn't. So what is the point of living these lives for others? It all comes down to living life for others if you are not revisiting and making sure that your values are what they are supposed to be for you. Not what they are supposed to be, actually, what they are meant to be for you. So how do we go about creating that clarity around your values? You need to go and ask yourself, what is important to me? So an exercise that I love is really listing your 5 top values. What are your top 5 values today? What are those areas of your life or specific adjectives or things that you are filling your life with as they are today? And then after you have listed those values, I want you to go and look in front of each of those, write down, where is that coming from? Is that coming from your heart? Is that coming from your parents? Is that coming from a teacher? Where did that value and the importance of that value in your life come from? And after you look at that list, you might be surprised to realize that they were all learned and they were all given to you as an important value to have. So how do I align your values today with who you really are? So I highly recommend you complete a Wheel of Life. I'm going to attach all these handouts for you guys at the bottom of the description of the podcast so you can access it. Complete a Wheel of Life. And what a Wheel of Life is a wheel, a rounded circle where we have all the areas of our life. And you want to score yourself from 1 to 10 in the level of satisfaction you're having in each of the areas of your life. Meaning, let's say 1 is romance. So 1 to 10, how satisfied are you? 1 is like not so much, 10 is incredibly cool. You score each of the areas of your life and then you join the dots. And then you're going to be able to see today how satisfied you are with your life as it is. Then after you have completed your Wheel of Life, I want you to look and at a couple of the lowest score areas that make in your heart are really important to you, that it is time for you to devote time, or that you've been meaning and wanting to, but you have been procrastinated, that you want to elevate to that next level. And then from there, you want to pick a couple of activities that you can do for this area. Now I want you to compare your list of values with your wheel of life and see if there is any lack of values that support the actual important areas of your life. And that's where you're going to start seeing that you need to make sure that you have in your top values things that correlate to what is important to you to elevate in your wheel of life. That was exactly what happened to me when I saw my score with my family. And then I saw how family definitely was an important thing for me, especially at that time, in point in time where I haven't seen them for a couple of years. I was new in Australia. You know what distance does. You have separated from them, that I was missing them, and I was ready to take my relationship with them at a different level. I saw I am not making them a priority. I need to start waking up earlier to call them. And obviously back then we had hardly Skype, so it was harder than it is today. But I made that decision and I created actions and specific activities that I could implement to make that area start becoming a higher score, which leads me today, more than 10 years after, to say that family is still at the top of my list of my values. But then instead of being a wanting to be a value, I have created something incredible with my family that I feel very proud of, and that fills me with so much joy. So I think you get the idea. So that's what you need to do. So now that have you look at that, you then need to create a new list of values as you want them to be. So now that you have seen when the gaps might be, I want you to start thinking, okay, how do I need to then create my values today? Not for family, not for society, not for expectations of anybody. But if this is the wheel of life and these are the areas that I really know I need to make more important in my life, how do I need to rewrite this list of values to really reflect who I want to become, really? And another example of this is I have a friend who has been denying at a time, that this is in the past, like 10 years ago, that love and connection was so important for her. And when she listed her list of values, she was not love and connection was not there as important. She looked at her wheel of life, romance was the lowest, and that was the area that made her feel so empty. And then she had to realize this actually is important to me. So then she had to move love and connection to a higher score in the list of values and start doing things day by day or week by week or month by month to heal whatever that needed to be healed there, and then to start taking actions to make that area actually reflect the love and connection was important to her so she could find her soulmate. So I think you get the idea. It sounds such a simple exercise, but I can just tell you, actually for me, this simple exercise has been the complete difference between living a very unfulfilled life and to having created a life that I have designed, that I have improved so many things in different areas of my life, and I have become so engaged with my life. And because I am engaged, I can be very productive. When I do things, I can be focused. I am productive. I am doing what I'm meant to be doing. I am making use of my gifts. So it is a simple exercise, but it's incredibly powerful. So as I mentioned, I'm going to leave a handout that you can access so you can complete your wheel of life, and I can give you some ideas of values, and then you can list them. And that exercise is so powerful that I highly recommend that after you listen to this episode, you spend 10 minutes completing this, and I can assure you incredible awarenesses will come out of it. And as always, I would love to hear from you. Share with me your awarenesses or if you have any questions, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Amplify. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe. Also, I will love it if you leave us a review. See you for the next episode. Bye-bye.